Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as usual, announcements first. For the people in the MBTI community, feel free to check out my personality themed merch in the link below, and also check out my Patreon account with exclusive articles such as one on how do you prevent MBTI mistypings once and for all. And recently I have been engaging in this initiative with VanShare, where the COVID-19 frontline workers can be given priority to be supplied with coffee without having to wait in line. And so if you would like to buy coffee for this frontline workers, then check out the link in the comment section as well as in the description box. So today, as promised, I will be reviewing a film that I find to be extremely fascinating and interesting. Usually it would mean that it is either really well shot or a great commentary on the society that we live in, or both. So today's film is The Lobster, and it is a 2015 film directed by this director with a really long name. So I'm hoping that I don't butcher his name. His name is Yorgos Lanthimos. So he is actually a really amazing director. He is fast becoming one of my favorites, and the film is a black comedy. It is set in a dystopian kind of society where people are forced to find a partner if they don't have one within like a month in this hotel where they all like mingle together, and if they fail to do so by the end of the month, then they would be turned into animals. So at first glance, you might think this is a typical science fiction or dystopian film where it is predicting some kind of dark future for humanity. But no, this film is actually about the current society that we live in. So it is kind of an exaggeration of the type of social pressure that we have when it comes to dating, and also making fun of online dating, making fun of some of the social norms that really prevents people from really bonding with each other when it comes to dating. So some of the amazing examples that I find in the film that closely mirrors the way that we do behave in real life is the way that the people in the hotel are treated. So the film begins when the central character, David, by the way, he is the only guy in the whole film that has a name. The rest of the characters are given like labels according to their personality. So again, it kind of shows the depersonalization in the dating process that people might encounter, especially when it comes to online dating, that is really common today. So David, he was recently divorced because his wife left him for another man, and he is forced to spend time in a hotel meant for him to mingle with other people. And when he reached the hotel, he asked if there is any bisexual options because he is interested in both genders, and the person told him no. So it is kind of, playing on the idea of online dating where, being a bisexual, it's really confusing, and sometimes you may not get that option, even though in other times you might. But once again, it is like not a very developed part of a lot of dating apps. And he's also asked about generic traits, like really obvious traits. For example, he has a friend that has a limp, and that friend is trying to find someone who also has a limp. And most people are basically trying to find someone with a really obvious trait that is similar to them. So this kind of mirrors the idea of online dating where, people are encouraged to talk to each other based on their mutual interests. And on the online apps, if you're not familiar with it, you can actually indicate like your music taste or like what hobbies you're interested in and so on, depending on the app you use. And a lot of these dating apps are founded on the similarities between you people, like the obvious similarities. So the film also does that, obviously to an exaggerated degree, where people basically find a match if they have really obvious similarities. So one guy in the film, the one with the limp, he really struggles to find someone else with a limp because that is not a very common trait. And this also, once again, parallels with the actual world where, if you have certain hobbies that are non-mainstream and you go on these apps, then it is less likely for you to find a match because people don't share that interest. Because society is very compartmentalized based on what your hobbies or your mainstream interests are. So this guy, in order to find a match, he actually forced himself to change a very fundamental aspect of himself. He saw this woman who has really frequent nosebleeds. And because he was desperate to find a match within the 1 month, he actually went to break his own nose. On a periodical basis, he would slam his nose on the table or whatever, just so that he can appear to be similar to the woman. And at first glance, you might think, oh, this is ridiculous. These people are so desperate to find someone within that 1 month that they actually injure themselves to change the way they are. This is, however, actually pretty accurate when you think about actual dating, that a lot of people alter quite a fundamental part of themselves in order to be liked by the other person. So some people, for example, they may pretend to like fashion when they don't, or some people may pretend to like certain movies when they have no interest just to appear more similar to the other person and so as to be liked. So this movie does a lot of this, playing with this societal ideas about dating and flipping it on your head. I just find the movie to be dishing out a whole lot of truths. Even though the movie itself is kind of a black comedy, that there are a lot of really exaggerated satirical moments. But when you really think it through, the movie is actually holding a mirror, basically, to what society really is like and how absurd the notion of dating has become. Another example in the movie that really showcases the reality of dating is in the movie, there are a few characters who are not seen as the societal ideals. So one is a man who is seen as ugly, or at least not as attractive compared to other people in the hotel. And another one is a woman who is also kind of older, and she became a little desperate in the movie. I felt like that woman just hits really close to home. I'm sure you probably know of people like that, and it's really sad in real life where, because they are pressured by society to find a match, but because maybe when it comes to, their age or their appearance, they don't fit into a societal ideal. And so this woman actually was at a very desperate place. She was frequently talking to the different men in the hotel. She was trying to call them every few days and telling them that she wants to meet up and stuff. And it just looks really sad because she is at a very needy phase in her life where she is kind of trying to hold on to whatever attention or whatever chance that she can get to be paired up, because she just felt like there is very limited time for her. And eventually, she's not a major character, so I can reveal what happened to her. So eventually she actually injured herself while trying to commit suicide because she regularly gets ignored by the man that she was trying to strike up a conversation with. And I feel like this film just also showcases a lot of this, really black and white ideals that society has. So as opposed to the people in the hotel, there are this other group of people called the loners. And these people are the opposite. So instead of finding a match, instead of trying to be so socially acceptable, they are the rebels where, they live in the forest. They claim that they are hyper independent, they don't ever have to find a match. However, when you look closer, this group of people actually have the same strict rules as the people in the hotel. So while the people in the hotel are kind of bombarded with this relationship propaganda, like on their TV shows, in their like everyday life, which is, you know, similar to how we are, to like find a relationship and to find the love of their lives or whatever. The people in the forest are the opposite. So they basically dish out this anti-relationship propaganda where they're like, you know, never find someone, like always be on your own. And obviously they exaggerated it to the degree where these people can never flirt with each other. They cannot even like try to mingle with each other. They always have to dance alone to electronic music, and that was quite funny. And they basically are forbidden from like any kind of physical relationship. So these people reflect society's other extreme, where there are some people who say, you know, I'm so independent, like I don't need anybody, and kind of alienating themselves from other people. Like even when people want to help them, these people, because they are so like concerned with maintaining this independent mindset and ideology, they may actually push the affection away. So as a result, you see these two groups of people, one group being like, you know, trying to be socially acceptable and finding a relationship, while another group being pressured to be 100% independent. And, you know, whenever someone actually finds love, they actually get severely punished in really brutal ways because it shows that they're not independent enough. I feel like these two groups are kind of how society treats people in a way, because it is a reflection on how we tend to put people in boxes. We tend to say, okay, so if you're single, you have to be like really like independent and really like, oh, I enjoy being single, you know, I don't want to find a partner. Or you are like in a relationship and, you know, you're about to like get married or whatever. It's like there is very little in between allowed for people to actually say, you know what, I do want to have a relationship, but at the same time, you know, I'm not going to settle for whoever. Like I'm not going to like stick to this deadline that society wants me to stick to. So there's really like not a lot of choices for both people in real life and also the people in the Lobster. And what is fascinating also in the movie is that there are a lot of really, I would say, scenes that make you see the reality of human relationships. There's actually a lot of betrayal involved in some of the movie plots, which I'm not going to disclose because I do want you to watch the movie if you have a chance to. But to me, it kind of tears away this very idealized version of love where everyone is selfless all the time, where like people are 100%, you know, oh, I would die for you, or, you know, oh, I would do this for you and that. In the movie though, there are some characters who are tested, you know, they are purposely put on a test to see if their love would waver, and in many of those cases, the foundation is kind of weak. So unfortunately, they're not able to stand up to those tests. And people do showcase their more selfish side, and it shows that, you know, over-romanticized version of relationships that we see in the media may not really hold up to reality. Because a lot of these times, as shown in the movie as well as in reality, people do get into relationships because of social pressure or because of loneliness, or, you know, because they desperately want to find similarities with other people, and so they kind of go for the first person that they're able to find the similarities. And I think all in all, this movie is a very strong reflective tool that we can have on society, a lot of clarity. There are a lot of more things that we have to think for ourselves, and there are a lot more absurdity in the whole dating world that people may not be aware of, because in a way we are those people in the hotel. And we may also at some point in our lives be those people in the forest. So I hope that you enjoyed this review, and definitely check this out in your free time, especially if you're open to satirical movies. For me, I love black comedies, and I couldn't recommend this movie enough. So as usual, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.